if you all got a chance to look at them, I had a couple of minor edits.
I had two.
Yeah,
But
and-
we spelled Bill Byers' name in the last paragraph, line 7. John Nezio is the town
Yeah.
administrator, not a town manager.
yeah.
Other than that, I'm fine.
And I had one where on the communication subcommittee update, which is probably something that I'm just, I'm more sensitive to, is that in the last sentence on that page, I changed it to the committee is planning on having a public forum and will send out invitations to town meeting committees to specifically invite them to the session. Which is a clarification. It was not Laura. It's originally said Laura was planning a large public forum. It really is a committee exercise. So that's the modification that I made. Anything else? So can we have a motion to approve as amended?
So,
Okay. All right. Bill,
yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
oh, good. Russ,
Yes.
Eileen? Yeah. Betsy, yes. Okay. That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Public comment. Is there anybody who wants to public comment on something that's not on the agenda? Okay, seeing no hands, we will move on. The subcommittee update on the town survey as of Friday, we had 906. We know we have 25 paper copies, so that makes it 931. And we heard that one other person's mother did it, so that's 932. But I don't have a count from today, and I'm hoping that we got some more people over the long weekend. We're extending it till Friday because we really want to get over 1,000. So we're extending it to Friday. So keep letting people know about that. In terms of the communications group, we met today and went through a number of things. But the main thing is that the community input meeting that we're going to have, which is the public meeting, is going to be on June 17th at the Murray Kelly room in the Human Services Building. And it'll start at 7 p.m. So hopefully the whole committee can make that meeting. And we also talked about other communications efforts that we're going to make to start promoting that, as well as finishing up the communications on the survey. But they have been very successful, and there seems from the the survey consultant, that whenever we post stuff on social media, we have an uptake in participation. So Laura's going to continue with that. All right. Now on to the next. Any other comments about that before we move on? Observation. Oh, thank you. Thank you. So as you know, we've been talking to different boards and committees with the objective of understanding as we go through this process of the section of the charter that deals with elected and appointed boards, to have an understanding of what these boards do and how they get to do it, etc. We have questions that we have sent to members of the boards. And tonight we are fortunate to have with us two members of the Board of Health, Gail Demore, who is the chair, and Ed Weiner, who is the vice chair of the committee.
No, he's not the vice
Oh,
chair.
no, sorry.
You're muted.
You're muted. I'm wrong. Hi, Gail. I know you're the chair, and I guess I just know Ed's on the committee, so I will not speak out of turn on that one. So we welcome you, and
You're muted.
I think you're both muted, but you can come off mute anytime. And you're still muted. So just to give you some background so I can talk until you're unmuted. What we have been doing is we have asked a board member to come in and it's a very casual discussion to answer some questions about being on your board, because we need to want to understand what it is, what the responsibilities are of the board, and to understand that from your perspective. So we did send those questions to you, and we can run through those if you like, because it's probably a good way to start. And we will follow up with additional questions for you, or you can, as you need, see fit. We have a time on our agenda until about 6:55. We want to be respectful of your time, and we also obviously have a pretty packed agenda, but we definitely want to make sure we understand your role and the board. So maybe if we just start with the first question, which is, if you had to explain to a stranger on the street in one sentence or two what your board does, what would that be?
Gail, it's okay that I begin.
Yes, I figured out unmuting as well. I just wanted to say thank you for including us and giving us this opportunity. I am the chair. Ed has been a longtime member and has a lot of rich history. So I asked him to accompany because he's a little better suited to answer most of these questions.
I think Jack Kelly knows probably the best. This is my 38th year on the Board of Health. And I still work on the board and do something for the board every day, 7 days a week. Let me go through very quickly the diverse background of the Board of Health. There are really 5.5 pieces. We do public health, which is what most people understand, the inspections of more than 100 food establishments. We do screenings, vaccinations. We're very involved in the schools. The second part is land use and development. We have almost unlimited authority when it comes to subdivisions and in some cases site plans. All of that regulation goes back to Paul Revere in early 1700s. We have the third part is environmental. We house the environmental engineer. We control and we regulate all of the hazardous materials within this community, all the demolitions. We could go on and on with inspections of every major industrial establishment in this community. Number 4 has become very important to us, and that is biotech. We are the regulators of the recombinant DNA permits, as well as we coordinate both the town's representation and lay representation to the more than 20 biotechs in this community. And last, we direct the Medical Reserve Corps. More than 300, close to 400 members of this community who not only drill, but they train and they act in case of emergencies within this town. That was very, very key to when we had the pandemic. And there's a 6th auxiliary point. We house the Triton grant, which is with Wilmington and Lexington, in which we have a grant which will go until 2038, in which provides us extra services and in some cases extraordinary services. For instance, we have an epidemiologist on that group, and we direct it and we house that grant program. So that is in a nutshell the diverse background of the Burlington Board of Health. And we are busy. We are busy every single day. I know that Gail and I are on speed dial. I get calls almost 7 days a week about something on the board.
If you think about the most effective, oh yeah, go ahead, Gail, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was going to say, if you think about the most effective members of your board that your board has had, what has made them effective?
the commitment to this community. It doesn't matter what the background is. You can learn the background. What the key here is commitment to the safety and the education and the well-being and the quality of life of Burlington. It doesn't matter what the background is. Now, it does help if you have a scientific background, a medical background, a teaching background, but clearly it's all about commitment to the safety, well-being, and quality of life of Burlington.
If you would, want to talk to somebody who's considering joining the Board of Health, running for the position, what would you say that the job actually involves on a day-to-day basis of being a board member? Not what the department does, but being a board member. What does that involve?
That's a tough question. In some cases, we're very busy, and in some cases, we're less busy. But it's very important that you are committed to the well-being and community of this community, which means you have to make yourself available. You have to understand what all of the functions of the board and what your responsibilities are. Remember, you are representing the health, community, and well-being of the town of Burlington. And it means in some cases spending a lot of time reviewing documents, a lot of time looking at issues that come before us, and a lot of times, sometimes even going out to sites. But the key here is you need to put the work in. You need to be committed. You need to understand, and you need to know what you do know and know what you don't know. Because if you don't know, then you need to learn. Call one of the members, call our professional staff, and understand all of the issues prior to making decisions which will impact this community.
What would you say? I mean, for a new member of the board, and Gail, I don't know how long you've been on the board, but what amount of time it takes somebody to get up to speed once they get elected for the first time?
I would say it took me almost a good year to feel comfortable. I worked alongside Ed and would call Ed all the time with a lot of questions. I would also call Susan Luminello just for clarification on things, because like Ed said, coming into a meeting, you really need to understand and know the documents in front of you and what the impact of different ways of voting on certain things. So for me, I would say it took me about a year to become comfortable. And then my second year, I was, getting my feet planted and gaining more understanding, because some things come in front of us and it's repetitive, and then some things are more involved and I had to go back and ask more questions. So as Ed said, I think the biggest thing is feeling comfortable with seeking out answers and being able to talk freely with other board members, but also our staff, because the staff is invaluable. And, I'm a health educator, so I have, somewhat of a little bit of a medical, education background with public health, but to me, being on the Board of Health was helping to expand and understand and be able to make sure that the Burlington residents were, being able to stay safe within the things that are going on within our community.
And it doesn't matter what type of background you have. It does take some time. I don't care if you are a doctoral level, if you have no education whatsoever. It takes some time to learn because you're representing Burlington.
Right. So can you walk us through a decision that your board made recently that was genuinely difficult, and kind of describe what the kind of knowledge or expertise it took to get to make it right?
Do you want to do that, Gail, or should I?
Well, to be honest, I don't want to bring up anything super controversial, but there were two things that I was involved in. The Fox Hill, we had to approve some of the Fox Hill site plans. And I know that's controversial because a lot of people wanted to combine schools. And what my personal opinion was, I had to kind of table that and just stay focused on the plans in front of me and what is the Board of Health's role, which was looking at, specific things to the site and not so much my own personal opinion of what would be best. And then the second thing that just recently came up, and it's still going on, is the Plaza 62 expansion. It sounds like a great idea in certain aspects, but again, my own personal opinion, I had to sideline and just focus on the drainage issues and any external grease traps that they might need for that particular plaza project. Ed, I don't know if you have anything to add, but those are two things that come to mind.
Well, let me be a little more generic. When it comes to subdivisions, the Board of Health under Independence Park versus the town of Barnstable, which gave us unlimited authority with subdivisions, you have to look at the site in a very complex way. Not only do we have to look at drainage and sewerage, but we have to take advantage under Subdivision Control Act, under anything that involves safety of or quality of life based on our decisions. And then when it comes to a subdivision, it takes a long time because you're not just looking to see if there is an impact in the drainage or sewerage within a community, but you're looking to see what other impacts that this particular plan would have on Burlington. And we are the regulators of subdivisions for the most part, based on a Supreme Court ruling that took place about 60 or 70 years ago. And when that takes place, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of understanding. It's a lot of listening. It's a lot of reading. But it's a lot of commitment because you want to do the right thing. Even if it's just a chicken permit, it's a lot of work because there are people who don't want chickens in their community. There are people who love chickens in their community, and there are people who want to learn about what animals and what the regulatory effects of animals in their community. So it's such a diverse situation that that it changes every single meeting.
Mm-hmm.
A quick question, and I don't know if this is fair to ask, but part of what we are tasked to do here is to review elected versus appointed committees. And, whether committees should be elected or should they be appointed, hired or whatever, where people would apply for the job and then they would be given the job, right? Versus just raising their hand and say, I want to run for election. Do you have any opinions about that relative to the Board of Health?
Yeah, let me get into that because I'm very concerned about that because I have seen both ends. Elected boards are the way of a town which is going to be a sensitive community. You can't just appoint people and for them to take a look at in technically what goes on in a community and what a community needs. You need representation. You need understanding of what the community is all about and understand that you are an agent, that you are responsible to this community and this public. I can tell you that I have seen many, many communities and worked in many communities that only had appointed boards, and I don't think they are effective at all. I don't think they are impartial at all. I don't think they can do the job at all, because when push comes to shove, we are only agents of this community, and that's what the key is. We need to do the right thing to keep the quality of life and the health promotion of this community, and appointed people just can't do that.
Can I add a follow-up to that?
Please, but speak up loud.
Yes. Dr. Ed, when you say that an appointed board isn't impartial, can you explain a little bit more about that?
Yes. Well, an appointed board is an arm of the appointed committee which does it. For instance, as an elected official, well, I'm trying to think of the word right now. I am responsible for this community, and this community can elect me or not elect me. When that appointed board, whatever the appointed board is, you are an arm of the selectman or the town manager or town administrator or whoever. And if you don't do what their vision is, then you just won't get appointed again. I am responsible to Burlington. Gail and the rest of my board are responsible for this community. Appointed people are more responsible in some cases, and not at all, but in some cases, to the appointing group. Take a look at the city of Boston. Let's take a look at the school committee in the city of Boston, in which it was an elected group, and then it became an appointed group, and it was a disaster. Now it's back to an elected group, and now they answer to the people of Boston. I cannot urge anybody to even consider putting the most important board, which the most important diverse responsibilities in the hands of an appointed individual or committee. Gail?
I just want to kind of second that and echo that. I always worry that, sometimes you might feel like you're standing out on a limb, but we're always focused on being committed to what's best for the town and the people in the town and the safety of the people. And that could easily get blurred if someone's being appointed.
Great.
Can I ask a question about your terms are 3 years? Is that correct?
Yeah, we have 3-year terms. There's a 3-year cycle. So
Yeah.
I come up every 3 years, and so does Gail. We come up together, but someone will come up 2, 2, and 1. So you're into the board for 3 years, but the makeup of the board could change every year.
Yep. And how do you all feel about the length of term?
Is it long enough? Is it perfect? Is it like gold?
I think 3 years is I think 3 years is long enough. I think that if you go longer, it could be an issue. If you go shorter, it's an issue. As Gail said, it takes a couple of years just to get really comfortable, no matter what your background is, and then you begin. Yeah, I got to tell you, in 1989, I wasn't very comfortable. It's taken quite a while for me to be extremely comfortable and extremely. Some people around the country think I'm expert in this, but it's taken me a long time to become expert.
Thank you. Any other questions from the committee? We have 2 people not on the committee have joined us, Mark Smuggler and Myrna Saltman, who are alumni of our committee. Do either one of you have any questions for our Department of Health?
Great increase in restaurants going on with this department. Does the health department have enough people to do the?
So the question is, with the large increase of restaurants around here, do you have the resources to do what you need to do?
I'm going to say absolutely. First of all, I don't think that you know the makeup of the Board of Health, which I think is very important. We have a director, an associate director, a supervisory public health nurse, an environmental engineer, a health agent, an associate health inspector, and we have 2 administrative people. The Triton grant has given us additional resources, which includes a nurse, an epidemiologist, a health inspector, which can help with the inspections if we ever need it, and we do not, a communication specialist, a tobacco control specialist, and an administrative assistant. We have now approximately 14 people that we can call upon for what we need to do. And right now, with the 8 that we have for the town, which includes 2 administrative people, and the extra Triton grant individuals, which we share with both Wilmington and Lexington, clearly we have enough people. Now, every single every single food establishment in Burlington is inspected a minimum of twice a year. However, many times they have to go back and do re-inspections, and in some cases, when there are complaints, they do multiple other inspections. We have enough people. I have, along with others, built the Board of Health from just a couple of people to one of the most busiest regulatory and professional organizations, not only in this town, but within this Commonwealth. We started with only a few.
Thank you. That's very helpful. Any other questions? No? Do I see any hands? No. I don't see any other hands. So I think with that, I will thank you both very much for joining us. And Dr. Weiner from his time off. I appreciate you logging on to us. And we'll let you go and say goodnight. Enjoy your evening. And now we will move on to the Housing Authority.
Well, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Can I just say one more thing, just about the Board of Health? Gail and Ed don't need to be here for it, but one thing I've noticed over the last 5 years of following is that it is the one department/board that uses that terminology kind of interchangeably. So when we talk about the planning board and the planning department, those two things are very easily separated. You've heard Dr. Ed say many times, the Board of Health, we've built the Board of Health, there's a lot of staff members. So it's just something to keep in mind as we're talking about this particular board and department, is that it sort of feels like it's all one big thing, but there is a separate board and a separate department, even though we sort of say the Board of Health when we mean the department. So I just wanted to say.
Yeah, it's the Department of Public Health versus the Board of
Right.
Directors, if you will, who are on it, right? And we have a bunch of paid people, and then we have the volunteers.
I
We're
think
giving
Gail
her
was trying to say something, but she's muted.
Gail, are you trying to say anything, or are we good? Okay. All right, moving right along to Eileen, would you like to share?
Sure. So the Housing Authority, let's see, I don't know if you're familiar with the properties that we have, but primarily, there are five buildings up on Birchcrest Street. Birchcrest is right across from the high school. There are 4 buildings, standalone buildings, 40 units in those 4, and then 65 units in the Tower Hill building. Let's see, if I had to say in one sentence what we're responsible for, I would say responsible for the financial and legal obligations of this entity. And it really is a separate legal entity. It's very regulated. It is state funded. Massachusetts is one of only 4 states that funds housing, public housing. Everyone else, all the other states, funding comes from this. What else? So to expand, other than, overseeing and being responsible for financial and legal, also setting policy, hiring and supervising the executive director, overseeing contracts, invoices, and financial planning / budget, that sort of thing.
In terms of elected versus appointed, you want to speak to that? Is that?
What? Yeah. So funny thing about that, right? One of the very cool things is there's mandatory training every 2 years. And it's quite extensive. I started over the weekend, and I don't know. I think it's going to be 8 hours, which to me is, all right. I mean, it's a serious sort of program from the state that you have to take. So that took me to Chapter 121B, which is where the Housing Authority, their purpose, et cetera, terms are outlined in Mass General Law. And in Section 5 is the section for the term, the office, and details. And 2 things. One, it's a 5-year term for everyone, staggered as they started off. And everyone has to be, no, sorry. There are 5, let me step back. There are 5 board members, 3 of whom are elected. There's a tenant rep, and they are appointed by the select board. And then there's a board member who is appointed by the governor. So anyway, so the other three are elected. It says right in the Mass General Law. And so when I read it, I'm like, so it's not a question of appointed or elected. It's already prescribed in the law. And I got that confirmed by Pat. Thank you for responding so fast. Anyway, so, did I have an experience or do you need experience going into it? I had a little bit. I was on the Housing Partnership Committee, and then someone persuaded me to join to sign up for the Housing Authority. It's very regulated, very, let's say, formulaic. There are tons of reports, monthly, quarterly, annual, both statewide, mostly state. So, it took me 2 years. It's taken me a while to still sort of, understand some of the terms and the impact of these things. But like I said, it's so regulated that there's not much wiggle room. And the important thing that I found out was, this is part of what I talked about when I was running, I think we had 3 or 4 executive directors in as many years. Well, that's not a recipe for a good thing. Anyway, so the gal that we have now, Paula Kinnan, she's very good. I think she's been there now 3 or 4 years. And she's one of those get things done sort of person. And anyway, she's been a real plus for us here in Raleigh, and she's done a lot.
Okay. How about questions for Eileen about this?
Can I just add a caveat? I just wanted to let you know what we had passed on to you. Yes, elected versus appointment in terms are set out by statute. Theoretically, because you are doing a special act charter, you could ask the legislature if you had a compelling reason to change it to appointed, and they may do so. That might be a heavy burden because they seem to be very interested and involved in crafting who's on it. Like they recently added this tenant position. So it's theoretically possible if you were having some sort of problem that made you want to change it from elected to appointed, you could do so. But I'm not aware of any towns who have done that, although they may be out there. I just don't know about.
I just want to check, Mark, I can see your face. So Smuckler, did you hear Pat? Yes, okay, good. Just doing a sound check. Okay. Any
Funding, there is no town funding for that.
The only thing that town does is trash removal.
Everything else.
Right. That's right.
Was there a federal component at all?
There is actually a small one. I don't want to get too wonky about that. But we also have 98 vouchers or so for Section 8. And that's an administrative thing versus the housing itself. There's 105 units over there in Birchcrest. That's a very hands-on, day-to-day sort of activity. Whereas the Section 8 is not, it's administrative, and there is funding there in terms of reimbursing or giving us an administrative fee.
Do you, you kind of take a look at the board, and if you had to, take a look at a decision you've had to make recently as a board that you feel good about, whatever, what could you run through how that decision process with the board goes, especially because you have all these different components?
Yeah, when I saw that question, I thought, again, it goes back to everything so regulated. There's not a lot of leeway. However, in 1987, the Housing Authority was given a piece of land off of Adams Street. And this is, I banged the drum on that when I ran for election. So we are doing something about that now. And we're finding out that there's a lot of moving pieces. There could be several people who are interested in that property. And so we are taking our time, and I'm glad to see that. But I guess I guess I'd have to say, it's been a thoughtful exchange of ideas among the board members as well as the executive director. So
And who will make the ultimate decision?
we will. We will. How we want to proceed.
Have you,
At this point, you own that land.
Yes, we do. And we've hired, we're having it appraised. We're working with Liz Bonventry in planning. She's been very helpful to the last 2 meetings. As the chairs.
The old Foxborough land or Fox something. I'm trying to recall who gifted us that land.
Well, the town did. But I mean, who gave it to that, right? I don't know.
long before,
Yes,
long before.
but the good news is there's movement. So that's.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Eileen?
Since it's so highly regulated, that includes all the housing, the wherefores as to who can get into these places.
Yeah, no. I think there was, I think the housing authorities throughout the country probably, or at least in Massachusetts, got a bad rap for, if you know someone, you can get into these places. Like, not. And that's not the case anymore. I forget how many years ago, maybe 5, 10 years ago, the state came up with this spell champ, a program where you have to go online and register or, put in your application. And so, and that's audited, not semi-annually, annually, auditors come in from the state and make sure that, this was the 13th person in line, the first 12 didn't, comply or didn't work out for some reason. And yes, that 13th person does qualify. And so, they get blessed. So I think that it's that well.
So that's not through all the town's HR processing?
So what was that?
So town HR is not involved?
Not at all. The town's not involved at all with the housing authority. I mean, I don't know if that's good news or bad news, but, they're only trash removal. That's what's.
And that's all regulated, that's how it has to be.
Well, I
The
don't know,
town's
but
not-
regulated, that's how, I'm not sure about that. That's what I'm trying to. What's your question? Could the town do more? Is that what?
I mean, but the decision, like, the town the town can't make the decision as to who gets the
Contracts or something? Or who gets, I'm sorry.
who gets the place to live.
No, that's still. But could the town do other things like landscaping and whatnot? Maybe. I don't know.
Any other questions? No? All right, well, thank you, Eileen.
We go to
No, she can't. She does not have permission to leave. So I think we're waiting on Dave. Norton. We're running a little bit early. So why don't we jump out of order if it's okay with everybody? And then when he comes on, we can come back to it. So Matt, I'm going to put you on the spot. I know you're ready, so.
So by now, everyone should receive the Excel spreadsheet that we spoke about at last meeting. Again, this is going to be an ongoing thing, updating it regularly with recommendations for the charter, recommendations that are not for the charter. And like I said in the email, appreciate you all to look it over because I can only look at it so long before my eyes just gloss over and see if you notice anything that needs to be changed, anything that was left out that needs to be added. So any feedback that you all can give would be much appreciated.
The line spacing is, does that have to save and open the line spacing right? There's something, the 2 or 3, I've been more than one line.
I can fix that.
I would go ahead and save and do that myself.
I'll take a look.
The break open meeting logs, do like a Google Sheets of the spreadsheet.
I can share it with Google.
I don't know what the rules are on that. I do know that not everybody uses Google.
Knowingly.
I don't know that it's a reliable form to get all the input on. It probably would be helpful to some people, to do it that way, but we can't rely on it for the input for everybody, I guess is what I'm saying. So the question is, do we do part of it Google and then get other people? How many people would prefer to use the Google, whatever it is?
If people are doing a document that's living and multiple people contribute, then hands down, yes. If it's more like there's one person like Matt who's gonna like be the marshal of the
Yeah.
information, then that's
I think one of the things that concerns me about that is I just would want to make sure that it's controlled so that if somebody says, oh, this is not how I remember it, this is what we did and change it, that it doesn't actually change without permission. You know, it needs to be comments only and not have editor privileges. So if we do that, we're going to have to make sure we do it that way now. And if you're comfortable doing it that way, and then we just send the link, which might be helpful for people who don't use the Google Docs stuff. If you send the link to it so people can just get to it directly, that might be a good way to at least try it. But so maybe, and you're good with doing it, sending it out that way?
Yeah, I can do
Okay,
Google Sheets or Excel, either one's fine.
okay.
Having like a comments feature seems like good, you know.
Okay, and then so if everybody has the ability to comment but not change, that would be preferable. So that we can curate those as we go through and make sure that we all agree. I think the important thing, and again, the timing for this is like, it's not urgent today, but it will be urgent as soon as we start putting together our report and all the rest of it. So we should stay on top of that. So as we make decisions now, we capture them accurately so we can just like move on to the next, and we don't have to go back and revisit and say, gee, I remember when we were talking about this or that. If Matt could resend it as a Google Doc with all the correct controls on it.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then,
Google Docs have track changes in it.
We're going to be using that comment feature.
yes, we get to comment on it, not.
It does,
It does, yeah.
but we wouldn't use it.
Okay, so let's try that. And I think at our next meeting, I'd like to carve out some time to just go through it, assuming we have time to do that at the next meeting. So, okay. So what time do you think is he gonna log on or?
I don't know.
We've got 3 minutes until he gets on with us, assuming that that all works.
You have to send an invite to them.
I believe Bill took care of that. He was the one who worked with him on the timing. One of the updates, I just, I have been giving people updates on some of the questions that we've been getting about the survey. So one of the questions I got, and there were a number of points made, but one of them that was a new point is around the committee appointments by both the town administrator and the town moderator are done without the announcement of vacancies, public announcement of vacancies. There's no requirement that they do that. And I don't know that we discussed any of that at the point where we're talking about appointments, et cetera, but I think we should make note of that so that we can have a discussion about whether when there are vacancies, they need to be published in some way or form so that people are notified of it, so that it doesn't look like it's not what you know, but who you know kind of transparency issue. So I'd like to, if we could put that in someplace and where you think it's appropriate to talk about that as a group, I think that would be something we should do,
We take the town administrative appointments and post it in the bulletin board.
which only people that go to town hall get to see. So I'm not sure that that's, yeah.
That's.
I have a broader concern about just in general, those postings, like where else are they? posted?
Yeah, I think we need to, and I think we need to talk about whether we want to put something in the charter that requires public disclosure of these openings. But I'm not sure what that looks like or how that looks like, and I'm going to leave it to our friends at Collins Center to give us some guidance on that. But I like the idea of having the transparency, unless anybody objects to that.
I mean, part of the issue that people complain about all the time is the recruitment pool being so small. Part of the problem that people complain about all the time is the recruitment pool being so small. So the only way to get a larger recruitment pool is to make sure more people know about vacancies so that you can have a bigger pool of candidates.
On that note, there were sign-up sheets at the back of town meeting. We got nothing. Nobody signed up to be on any committee. So
Yeah, and it may be that maybe there's a marketing issue there too as well.
they
Please don't know about the sheets.
I didn't know either.
But
Okay, so yeah, so we have, it's a combination of things like a requirement, but then you don't put in the charter or the rules, but what maybe a recommendation, for example, is that that announcements be made at town meeting or something that brings it more into an aggressive reach out rather than a passive.
Part of our new board, our electronic board.
That's another way of thinking about it.
That board has got the biggest shoulders in this.
It's so small. Yeah, I mean, there are so many ways to get the word out about things, and I think they're underutilized, to say the least.
So we should, I think, let's capture someplace a recommendation to around this whole thing, boards and committees that are appointed, that we do some more work on. Okay. Thank you. Okay, well, we are at our starting point for him. So I'm going to actually hand this over to the Collins the Center at this point. I probably need to tell everybody that Anthony told me that he is going to be leaving the Collins Center and taking a job with the state. So this is his last meeting with us. So we thank you, Anthony. And we don't have any parting gifts, I'm afraid, but we have to do with our sincere thank you. And I think we'll hand it to you. I think this screen, you should be able to have access to share whatever you want to share on screen. And when our friend shows up, I think we will take a break, give you a break, and go to him, and then we can come back to you.
Okay, great. And it's been a pleasure being here. So let me just get to the right thing to show.
And we can hear you just fine.
Great, great. Oh, I think I lost the ability to share just now.
Right. Well, let's.
Oh wait, I got it back. Hold on. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can. Can you make it larger, maybe?
Sure.
We got it.
Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay. So if you remember, we started this discussion at the previous meeting, or not your previous meeting, but the last meeting that we were at, regarding the Article 3, which is the discussion on elected offices. We went through most of it, and there were some recommendations and suggestions from the committee that we've incorporated into pretty much the same memo and brought back to you to discuss those changes, as well as just the general language to put into this section. If you all remember, you didn't vote on any of the, you sort of, the committee kind of indicated which ways they were leaning, but they didn't officially vote to sort of move anything into the draft charter. That's why there's not an updated version of the draft. Before I go forward, it's not going to change my presentation, Betsy, but were you going to take formal votes on the sections? Do you want me to pause at each section to give the opportunity for the committee to vote, or you just want to move through this quickly?
Oh, yes, please. Let's do one at a time. Finish one, move on to the next.
Okay. So in the draft of the Article 3, there's a general provision section. One of the conversations from the last meeting was taking the conflict of interest section, which appeared for one of the boards, I believe it was the planning board, and make that apply to all of the elected positions. So I took really that exact same language. I modified it a little bit so that it could apply to individual elected officers as well as elected boards. And so this is the proposed language. It will be a new subsection C of the general provision section. Conflict of interest: no elected official shall hear, vote upon, or take any action upon any matter which the official has an interest, direct or indirect, personal or professional. For the purpose of this section, interest shall include membership in a firm, partnership, or corporation that has a direct or indirect financial interest in a matter before the official.
Your comments?
Yeah, is there any interest other than financial, or is this limited to just financial?
So this section defines, it says interest, direct, indirect, personal, or professional, and then it further defines interest, not limiting it, but it says it shall include, I guess, your membership of any entity in which you have a direct financial interest. So I don't know if it. Well, I think, putting this in a broader context, regardless of this provision, all of the elected officials and really all public officials, whether elected or appointed, are subject to 268A, the state's ethics law. So this would be in addition to this, and it doesn't seem limited to financial interest.
Okay, we're good?
Yeah.
Any other comments? Okay, I'll take a motion.
To approve.
Second.
Second.
Okay, this is Bill,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Nikki,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Yes.
Russ,
Yes.
Karthik. I think he was on, but he wrote BRB. Although his back came off. Okay. Eileen?
Yes.
Jess? Yes. Betsy, yes. Okay. All in favor? Good. 1, 2.
So the next. Oh. Are you ready?
Yes, 10.
So the next section is a change to the select board part of the this article. So if you remember, this section, or the select board portion, has a number of responsibilities which the committee went through. We stopped on 8, which was around which the original language from the bylaw says that they exercise direct control over certain departments, public works, engineering, so on and so forth. As we've constructed this draft charter, we've given a lot of the day-to-day responsibility to the town administrator, and the select board still appoints certain officers. I think the town council is one, the town administrator is obviously one. So this is no longer applicable. The committee indicated an interest in still allowing the select board to have some general oversight over what could be happening in the departments. And so we crafted this section, and I'll read it, but sort of at a high level, it basically states that if there's any legal claims against the town, the select board has the authority to investigate the operations of various departments, either through the town administrator or the town council or on their own, for the purpose of responding to or just addressing any legal claims that that have sort of been brought forward. So I'll try to read this quickly. The select board may make investigations of any legal claims against any town department, office, or agency or employee of the town, whether elected or appointed, serving with pay or without pay, or require the town administrator and or town council to make such an investigation. For this purpose, the investigatory authority may subpoena witnesses, administer oaths, take testimony, and require the production of evidence. The report of any such investigation shall be placed on file in the office of the town clerk and or published in the annual town report if the select board members deem such publication necessary to protect the interest of the town. The select board members may take appropriate legal actions as a result of any investigation if they so deem, if necessary, to protect the interest of the town and the public. And this is mapped on what you see in, it's not, I wouldn't say it's that common, but it's something you do see in some other more modern charters.
Okay, questions?
Yeah, if it's an employee or someone in the town, if they're being investigated, I think there should be some language that says they have a right to have counsel and they have a right to submit in writing. It will be attached to the report or published in the annual town report. So it doesn't appear to be just one-sided.
Your reaction to that? Did you hear it?
I did hear the question. It was around that they be afforded counsel, that they have I guess a right to respond and include in the report. I don't know that I have any. It's not something I've seen before. I guess one of the things that I guess might concern me sort of about that is, again, so this just defines a power or duty of the select board. So I guess my concern is to then use it to give some extra, to give some extra protections or process to officers and employees of the town that they might not otherwise have. Because, if there is a legal proceeding, they will, they'll have the right, I won't say the right to counsel, but they'll have the ability to adjudicate those things. This is purely around, the way this is structured, it's around the select board's ability to investigate when there is an existing claim. So I guess that would be my concern there. You could put it in. It's not something I've seen other places.
Report on the file or something published in the annual town report. Person doesn't get to tell their side of the story for the public to see. Then I don't think that's quite fair.
Well, wouldn't that be covered essentially someplace else?
That was my question.
Where else?
Like, why does it need to be?
Yeah, like, is it in the HR?
Well, definitely it'll be someplace, whether it's published in the report. I think,
If it's the same thing, what's wrong with it being in two places?
Because then you have to make sure it's the same thing. Make sure if you change one, you change the other.
So let's make sure of that.
Well,
I think it's easier to not have that report go into, like, if there's concern. Well, I have two things that occur to me. We're talking about a select board responsibility. We're not talking about the rights and privileges of other people, in my opinion. This is like saying the select board responsibility is to do X. Now,
It says they may make investigation. It doesn't say they shall.
well, like,
But doesn't preclude anyone from
doing it, right? It's giving them the ability to do it. Then in terms of the investigator may subpoena witnesses, yes. And then the report of such investigation shall be placed on file in the office of the town clerk and or published in the annual town report. Maybe is the part you're having problem with is published in the report, because if it's an egregious issue with an employee, the details may be sealed, but if there's like a set financial settlement or whatever, and we see this all the time in the school department, as I remember, where there's a financial settlement, stuff at the number, don't know the details behind it. So it feels to me like having it somehow reported feels about right.
Feels transparent to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah, but you don't say Betsy Hughes did X, Y, Z and was fired for it. You you say there was an issue that came up. It's going to be in a way that keeps the town out of legal trouble. For saying things too directly, somebody could sue the landlord, whatever. So there's a whole bunch of protections.
And it's like a standard policy not to comment on HR issues, but like kind of along the lines of what you're saying, right? So,
And an investigation can extend years.
Yeah.
So the resolution could appear in a different year and therefore couldn't appropriately be reported in that same annual.
As Betsy says, there's not going to be a name. It's going to say an employee of the town.
We don't know. That's what chooses to do.
well, the council would not to.
Council's
You're
never
never
gonna,
gonna hire
council will never let them use the name. I gotta tell you, no. I don't have much problem, and I guess the question is, in your experience at Collins Center, I know that a lot of towns don't do this, but do the ones that say they're gonna publish a report of the investigation? Or could we just take that out and not lose the ability for them to actually do it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna-
Oh, go on. Sorry, Pat.
No, I was gonna say, I'm gonna have you answer that. Because
Yeah. So we looked at some charters. It's not, I would say it's not the most common thing, but I wouldn't say it's very rare. You do see, it's hard to say that this is the most common thing or that you're losing something. I don't think you necessarily will lose anything if you were to remove the publication. I think it was you, Betsy, because I can't hear what's on. I think it's part of a transparency item. They felt there was something important enough to investigate that they didn't want to disclose to the town what they found, so that people are aware. The genesis of this, though, just keep in mind, is just so that the select board, which is the true executive office of the executive officers of the town, just have as you're dividing the responsibilities between them and the town administrator and giving the town administrator more responsibility of the day-to-day, that they just have other avenues to get information. That's the genesis of it. So I think even if you were to remove those publication requirements, it's still a hook that the select board can say we have the responsibility to look into these things when they come up and can't be frozen out. Now, obviously, you wouldn't want it to get there, but that's kind of the protection that a clause like this or a section like this is meant to protect.
It doesn't say the select board, the designee, it just says the select board.
It's what we're talking about.
I require the administrator. Okay.
Yeah.
So I almost feel like the publication is a check and balance against like spurious investigations. I don't know, other people feel that way.
So I actually have a more general question. The language that existed previously was a statement that was giving a duty to the select board, talking about exercising general control over following departments, blah, blah, blah. And I may be misunderstanding, but I thought part of what we were asking was that we wanted to ensure that while that general control is largely now being clarified as falling under the town administrator's role, we wanted to ensure that the select board had the express authority to dig into problems, look at things. Your language here, the select board may make investigations of any legal claims. Again, why does there need to be a legal claim? Couldn't the select board just decide we're choosing to dig into something because people have talked about it and we should look into it, right? Like, that's a question I'm wondering. What's that for?
I have an answer to that one. I think the concern there was that it might be too broad and that the cynical folks might, if you have the right to do it for anything, and they don't like the chair of this department, CVRC, who's a pain, and that's me. And she was paid, so I'm going to investigate CVRC because there must be something there. So I think by putting the word legal in there, at least for now, and maybe a future iteration might want to liberalize it, but it puts some boundaries around what the select board can and can't investigate. And that was the reason for putting it that way.
There's a difference between the existing language of, and again, I think pretty sure this existing language, while it's in the existing draft charter, I think it also came from, like the other documents we have, to exercise general control over particular departments. Those are all labeled, right? And that's not every department, but that is a set of departments that exist. Then that is exercising general control is different from investigating legal complaints.
Correct. So what we did is, I can stop me if I'm wrong, but I believe we gave that authority to the town administrator. So this whole section, whether we add the legal thing or not, comes out. The reason we wanted to add the last section was the select board, in the interest of check and balances, we should have the ability, should the town administrator make a decision that they think puts the town at risk.
Yep.
They have the ability to investigate. That's where the language we're now reviewing came from.
So the idea here is, I agree with you. I think I remember as well that this is a check against the powers of the town administrator so that the select board has the ability to intervene some way. And so, legal claim is made against a department or agency. It means the select board cannot perform a check if a legal claim is not acted for some reason.
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
Otherwise, then like, what's the point of the town administrator, town manager?
I mean, in some sense, the town administrator, in some way, of the select.
Can I add something to the discussion? And it's a fine line, because one of the reasons why a provision like this can be tricky is you actually don't want to necessarily create like an open back door to have people going behind their backs on the one hand, people going behind their backs to the select board. On the other hand, you don't want the select board eating, or I don't want to call it the select board, but really it could be any board, eating up the time of staff looking into things that may be more efficiently handled in another channel. Because technically it's the town administrator's responsibility to make sure the departments are running efficiently, and then the select board be monitoring the town administrator. If you remember the town administrator section, they've got a responsibility to regularly report to the select board on the financial and the administrative processes or situation of the town administration. So you want to carefully craft it so that the select board can't just be pulling people and say, I want you at a meeting tomorrow to talk about why someone didn't get their grass cut, or someone got a ticket, or this, that, and the other. Not to say that always happens, but that's one of the concerns about these types of sections. So you do want to create some borders around it to protect against that, and give some clear circumstances in which the select board has a good reason to go and sort of talk to staff and get this sort of in-depth information. I would say in a well-functioning community, there should be a dialogue. This is kind of I think of this as like a last resort sort of section. We have the responsibility to do this. You're stopping us from doing it. So, I guess you could expand it, but that's one of the reasons why you try to keep it tight so that you don't create a lot of confusion.
A high bar for the check to be enacted.
Yeah.
Okay. Comments on this? I'd like
in order for the select board to make an investigation, the first has to be a legal. Okay.
All right. Any other comments?
It's just one wording thing, on the last full line, if they deem it necessary, the so does not have to be there.
Oh, if they deem it necessary. Yeah, no, so. All right. Are we ready to take a vote on this? I'll take a motion then. Second. Okay. Bill,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Nikki,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Russ,
Yes.
Eileen?
Yes, yes.
Jess? Betsy, yes. Yeah. Yes. Okay. I saw you nod your head.
Oh, no, I was looking up to see if.
Oh, 10-0-0.
Were there any changes to it? Right, if it's going to be necessary,
We just deleted the word so.
just.
Okay, next.
Okay. So the next section is still in the select board section. I think it was mainly a typo. I think so. Maybe Pat, you can correct me. So 3-2A, we're still in the select board section. This is around the composition and term of office. There shall be a select board consisting of 5 members elected by vote of the registered voters of the town for 3-year terms. The term shall be arranged so that at least one term shall expire each year.
Yeah, this was just to standardize, we were describing the term, right, it's an term.
That's right.
Duration and expiration.
So we decided we're going to use the same wording for all terms and expirations so that it's consistent. So this was the wording that, obviously, the duration of the term may vary based on committee, but we still want to make sure that they are all arranged so at least one term shall expire. All right. Okay. Any comment? If not, I'll take a motion. Okay, second. Okay, and, okay, Bill?
Yep.
Matt?
Yep.
Corey?
Yep.
Nikki?
Yes.
Jack? Steve?
Yes.
Russ?
Yes.
Eileen?
Yes.
Jess?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, moderator?
Okay. There are two, so we did talk about the moderator section at the last meeting. There were 2 changes to this section from the meeting. One was the length of the term, which is 3 years, which again coincides with what is in the Article 2, which is your representative meeting section. And then a specific reference to the part of that section of the charter that deals with the town moderator. So it talks about duties as assigned by section 2-9 of this charter. That's the section that talks about the moderator's role relative to town, to the representative town meeting.
I don't know, is this where you put something in about having committee appointments being communicated, like posted?
Let's talk about that later. We're ready to handle it. Like, you just asked her to go think about it and come think about it. I don't want to do it live. Sorry, I'm just, usually it's like, get a minute.
Well, the pool from which the moderator makes the appointments is so narrow.
It doesn't have to be though.
No,
Because about all of the.
Anthony, when you're not speaking, do you mind just muting yourself? Because there's a lot of feedback. Thank you.
So we talked earlier, way earlier along in the process about how not all committees that are appointed by the moderator have to be made up of town meeting members. So we can have community member, I don't know what you call them, ex post facto, large, thank you. And a large member of these committees. So, I mean, it could be 19,000 people, could be the pool.
There are a number of people on committees that I appointed who are not to meeting. I can have up to half.
Yes, for most, right? Maybe
I
all.
think we changed it. There's one that was just said all town meeting members.
Yeah.
I think it was land use. We changed the language.
So we should probably have that reflected in one of these sections. It's either this one or the town meeting one, but one of the two, if we're going to refer things here back to that town meeting, then I'll let you, Pat, decide when that needs to happen, but
Are you talking about for advertisement of vacancies?
well, it's like, do we say that there has to be a public?
But it's not on the moderator. I mean, I'm not sure that belongs in this section.
Okay.
It's not on Bill, on the moderator.
Okay.
To do that. I didn't mark anything.
So I have, if you want, like, my thoughts
I do.
before we go back to this. My thoughts on the matter is you are talking about some sort of advertisement, some communication plan for appointments, but that does not just refer to the moderator's appointments. That also refers to appointments by the select board or by other committees. So I would not, if you did anything, I would not confine it to this section or to the town meeting section.
You'd have a separate section.
It would be separate, maybe under, there's a section about organization of multiple member bodies thing that would go under. I'm not sure off the bat that I would recommend that to be in the charter.
I agree.
I think back in the beginning, we kind of, when we went through the town meeting section, there was a recommendation to ask for further information or further study of how we can broaden the applicant pool. And it would be the same kind of recommendation for both. It might be done by bylaw, it might be done by policy. I think that these things change and there are best practices as far as reaching out and things change.
Yeah.
So
I guess I
would
was,
put it in the charter, but if you did, it wouldn't be in this section.
I acknowledge that, but I'm not thinking that whatever we put, wherever we put it, doesn't say we're going to advertise it and this, that, and other thing. It's just,
Newspaper general circulation of which we have none.
yeah, right. It's not that, but that it must be, I don't know. It must be,
Announced. or something.
announced, you know, some sort of a general term, just so that it is clear that there's an intent for those kind of funds to have some sort of,
The applicants to find out about it.
yeah, right. So
If
that's what I
you
was,
want to be more specific, the bylaw would be appropriate. Because that, as technology in the world changes, we can change bylaws much more easily.
yeah, and I'm just thinking if we make a general statement of intent to make sure it's a public, there's public knowledge of an opening, not how you do it, but the fact that there must be that level transparency. I think that could be in the charter. How you do it is a whole different thing. But I would just, I don't think we should do it here and we should move on, but I just want to capture that for a future discussion.
In the charter, can you make a reference to a bylaw? Can you say something like, openings must be announced for requirements of the town's bylaws?
Yeah, I wouldn't do that here and we'll move on and talk about the other language, but we can do something like, you know, like that. And we've talked a little bit in the town earlier. I think we talked about some actually have, you know, form committees to review resumes and things like
Yeah,
that.
I don't want to,
We can talk about that.
I don't want to go into that detail, Pat. I just want to have a statement of intent. I don't want us to go any further than that. For us to consider and have a discussion about. So if we can figure out a place where that might live, then let's bring it back here. We'll have a discussion and maybe everybody says, you know, we can't really get to it without getting into the weeds, but if we can, just show intent.
We
Okay,
have a section on committees, don't we?
We do, and we'll talk about, there's another section that would be more appropriate.
okay,
Okay.
cool. All right, anything else on town moderator? Anybody wants to bring up? No, a motion on 3-3. Okay, Bill,
Yes?
Matt,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Betsy, yes, Dicky,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Russ,
Yes.
Eileen,
Yeah.
Jess? Yes. Okay, 10-0-0. Oh, Karthik, hi. Would you like to vote on that?
Hi, I'll let me abstain on this one.
Okay. 10-0-1.
Ready to move on?
Okay.
So the next section is Board of Assessors. Again, this is around really taking what we know are their current responsibilities and placing them into the charter language in this section. I'll read this briefly. There shall be a Board of Assessors, composition and term. There shall be a board of assessors consisting of 3 members. The terms of office for each assessor shall be 3 years. The terms shall be arranged so that one term shall expire each year. Powers and duties. The Board of Assessors shall annually make a fair cash valuation of all property, both real and personal, within the town for the purpose of assessing taxes thereon. The Board of Assessors shall have all the powers and duties given to the Board of Assessors under the Constitution and the general laws, and such additional powers and duties as may be authorized by this charter, by bylaw, or by vote of the representative town meeting.
Any comment?
The first A is not just what we said we were going to use as a.
Right. Yeah, Anthony, the terms language has got to be fixed there.
Can you tell me the term?
The terms, do you know the language we decided we're going to use?
The term shall be arranged so that one term shall expire each year.
Right, we just fixed the language.
I think it was done that way because years and.
Isn't that the language that you wanted to use?
But it's just not consistent with what we just said.
Yeah, it's
The only inconsistency.
Yeah. that would
It's
be-
5-member board.
Oh, no, well, also elected by vote. I mean, that may be a
Okay.
given, but again, we want
let's keep the
to inform
language.
it. Yes.
Keep the language the same. Okay, so let's say, are there any other? Oh, Anthony, I need you to go on mute again.
Oh, sorry.
Any other comments? Okay, if not, we'll take a motion on this one, 3, 4. Second,
Second,
okay, Bill,
yes.
Nat,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
that's a yes. Nikki,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Russ,
Yes.
Karthik.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Eileen,
Yes.
Jess, yeah. It's 11-0. All right, school committee.
Just before we move on, I just want to make sure I understood. I thought you wanted that at least one term shall expire each year. Was that not the language or the way you wanted it to sound?
No, it's just not matching the consistency that we just voted on where it said there shall, so basically this would be like, there shall be a board of assessors consisting of 3 members elected by vote of the registered voters of the town for 3-year term. The term shall be arranged so that at least one term shall expire each year. It should literally say that.
Okay.
Just making sure the language is consistent to what we just approved for the select.
Okay.
Okay, school committee.
So there were some changes here. I'll actually read this out, but before I read it, I'll just go to the changes. So there were discussion at the last meeting. There were 2 responsibilities of the school committee that this committee wanted more clearly represented, which was around their responsibilities around educational policy, budgeting, and contracting, and then to specifically call out the school committee's responsibility to appoint the superintendent. So there's a specific paragraph on the superintendent or subparagraph, and then some of those responsibilities were laid out in the powers and duties. I will read through this quickly, and I think based on the conversation, we may have to change the terms of office section, which we can go back and do, but I'll read out how it's written here. So composition and term, there shall be a school committee consisting of 5 members. The terms of office of each school committee member shall be 3 years. The term shall be arranged so that at least one term shall expire each year. Powers and duties, the school committee shall have general charge and superintendence of the public schools of the town, including establishing educational policy, budgeting, school department contracts, and all of the powers and duties given to the school committees under the Constitution of the general laws, including but not limited to Mass General Law, Chapter 71, and such additional powers and duties as may be authorized by this charter, by bylaw, or by vote of the representative town meeting. Subparagraph C, the superintendent. The school committee shall appoint a superintendent of schools who shall serve as the chief executive officer of the public schools. The superintendent shall serve at the pleasure of the school committee under such terms and conditions as the school committee may determine.
And I'm just looking for what's in our current bylaws on special acts relative to the school committee. Is this exactly what we had before, or what's the difference here?
So the current bylaws don't say much about the school committee. There's a line saying that there will be a, a 5-member school committee.
School committee's duties are really regulated by Mass General Law, which is why the reference to it shall have all of the powers prescribed in Mass General Law.
Okay.
And I think that at one of the former meetings, and Anthony may have said this, you wanted to add the word like budgeting in school department. There were a couple things you wanted to add.
Okay.
Question on the term of office, it said at least one term shall expire each year. That could lead to 1 year having 3 terms expired. We want to say, so that either 1 or 2 years or something. So that
No other place we said at least one, but not more than 2.
Well, I think what did we say?
Well, what generally happens is you'll have two terms expiring. So it'll be 2 years. It'll be 2 terms, then 1 term. That's the way it usually gets structured.
But that language allows us to have 1, 1, and 3.
It could. That's correct.
So we want,
At least one, but not more than 2.
We could write language that says no more than 2 shall expire in any given year.
Yeah, that works.
At least one.
Well, then,
No more than 2.
no more than 2, wouldn't that allow, no, wait, yeah. That works.
One, but not more than 2.
you have to say,
Zero situation.
so if we add the words, the term shall be arranged so that at least one term, no more than 2 shall expire each year.
In every single section about terms.
Yeah.
For election body.
Well, that,
Because this applies to the select board, it applies to the planning board as well, which is, right?
this is only 3. It's
Yeah. Right,
this.
unnecessary, but if we want to be standard.
Yep.
How does the planning board? Just trying to think, how does the planning board election cycle?
There's a couple where there's 2 each year, and there's at least one where there's only 1.
Yeah.
There should be 3 with 1.
Yeah.
I think there's only 2.
You got 7 people, right?
Yeah.
Like,
So it has to be 2, 2, 1, 1, 1. I was just curious because I was trying to do that math and make sure it applies to that one board that had 7 members instead of 5.
Still, at least one's more than 2.
Yeah. There's no year that there's not a planning board election.
Okay, so we're actually modifying the wording that we did in section.
On 3.5, we got to put in elected by vote of the registered voters of the town to be consistent.
Yes. I will review all of them and make sure.
Make they're all the same and get them, okay, squared away, okay. All right, any other comments about the school board? Okay,
No, it's so regulated, this we don't know how much we can say.
yeah, and we're referring to the regulations, so I feel we're in pretty good shape there. Okay, 3.5, motion to approve with the amended language that we'll be putting in. Second.
Second.
Bill,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Nikki,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Steve,
Yeah.
Russ,
Yes.
Arthur,
Yes.
Eileen,
Yes.
Jess? Yes. Okay, 11-0. All right. Planning board.
All right, the next one is on the planning board. And again, I'm sure that the composition and term language will change, but I'll read it out sort of as it is. So this actually section has a more robust section in your bylaws. So this is pretty much verbatim what's from your bylaws. There shall be a planning board consisting of 7 members. The terms of office of each planning board member shall be 5 years. The term shall be arranged so that at least 1 term shall expire each year. Powers and duties. The planning board shall have the authority and responsibility for performing all the functions assigned to the planning board under Mass General Law, Chapter 41, Section 81A, and all other applicable provisions of the general laws and general and zoning bylaws of the town. The planning board shall prepare and maintain a master plan for the town, review and act upon subdivision plans, and advise the select board and other town bodies on matters affecting land use, zoning, and community development.
Do we need to say something about it, advise the select board in town meeting? Is there a town meeting reference that needs to happen in that?
Wouldn't that be a town body?
There is not currently such a thing.
Where that comes in is with suggested zoning bylaw change. That's done by town meeting, but the public hearing is performed by the planning board.
Maintain master plan. And advise them on those things.
Does it make any sense in the same way that such additional powers and duties as may be authorized by this charter bylaw or vote of the representative town meeting? Does it make any sense to add that language to the powers and duties of the planning board? Such that details like this, the town could vote on and say, we want whatever for detail. Does that make sense? Like this is outlining the powers and duties for the planning board. Much like, so there is not a lot in the existing bylaw document. There's a little bit on the planning board, but not much.
Not much.
And there's not much on a lot of these other groups, to be honest. So the question is whether it makes sense to expressly note that town meeting could pass additional bylaws to give further powers and duties to the planning board should they want it. And those could include what you were just describing.
Well, I think it already says that they're given the functions and all other applicable provisions of general laws and general and zoning bylaws. Now,
Oh, you're right. Okay, zoning, but yep.
And I think I'm fine with, because it talks about other town bodies and they're talking about advising. They're not making decisions relative to them. So I'm fine with the language.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments on the language? Okay. Okay, so this is 3.6. Motion.
Motion. So moved.
I think the only change is on the, other than signaling, right?
Not more than three,
Yeah.
not more than two.
Yeah, with the addition of the no, not more than two.
And the consistency about voters.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, and Bill,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Nikki,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Russ,
Yes.
Karthik,
Yes.
Eileen,
Yes.
Jess.
Yep.
All right, Board of Health. Now, one of the things that I guess one of the reasons we brought the Board of Health in was one of the questions that we had was, should it stay elected or shall it be appointed? So before we get into this, I think we need a motion one way or another so that we can vote on whether it should stay elected.
Make a motion that we recommend these stay in elected board.
Second.
All right, so elected. So we're voting, yes means yes, keep it elected, okay? Just to be clear.
Do we want to discuss?
Yeah.
Oh, you want to discuss?
Yeah. Why do you feel that way? Why do you believe that?
Who's making the motion?
Oh, sorry. You're not.
I'm saying the motion is to keep an elected board.
So I have an opinion about it, which is that the town and the people who voted on elections who would be approving a charter like this would prefer to keep things at the level, just in general.
My opinion is that I'm generally against the concentration of power, and Dr. Weiner brought up a great point in that, you know, not that I think there'd be any inherent threat of unappointing things, but, you know, they would essentially become, like, at least be approved, you know, be approved from an appointed, well, not an appointed body necessarily, but they'd be appointed from someone who isn't the people, and in my opinion, the people have the people's interests most at heart.
Yeah, and the other thing that I think about is there's a professional board, I did it, a professional department working under the board, right? And so when I think about it, I think about the expertise that's required to do the job function. And that expertise is held within the department. The board is just overseeing that department. So it's like, you know, making the recreation board commission appointed and making the library board, whatever. So, yeah.
I think we need to talk about only one board at a time.
Yes, no, I'm just, sorry, I was trying to make an analogy and it didn't work out.
No, but I take your point about the staff, and I mean, that
We have a professional staff that they can do the professional technical function of the job. And so I have less of a concern that we don't have trained medical professionals on the Board of Health, because that's what the boards, that's.
although if they're setting policies and guiding and supervising, then maybe the staff.
You've got to have something, right? And that, but also if you go to a meeting, the staff is leading the meeting and making recommendations.
It was funny because as he was speaking, I was looking at this, you know, nifty chart from Collins, and check on the right side, appointed. You know, and the part about, well, and he stressed being, you know, involved in the community. And I'm not sure that just because you're appointed and you live in Woburn doesn't mean that you're not involved in, you know, wanting to put Burlington first and whatever. I mean, I thought that was a little. I don't know, I can go both ways, but I take Nikki's point about there's a staff.
Can I just clarify that the appointments may still be residents? It's
You can still have that requirement.
versus, right, you can still have the requirement that the appointed be residents.
Or not.
Or you could choose not to.
That's what I'm saying, or not.
Right, you can't, I mean, you could say not. I know the vast majority would make appointments to certain boards, resident or at least resident preference, unless there was a specific position, you know, that someone might want to have a business owner on a certain board that may not live there, but owns a business.
Because it gets back to the pool, right? And all of a sudden, that pool is now, you know, very much smaller if you're gonna limit it to just Burlington.
And that was one of the arguments for and I hate to go astray, I'm not trying to promise, but that was one of the arguments for the town clerk being appointed rather than elected, the expertise point and the candidate pool. And it wasn't a huge margin, but the voters said that they wanted to keep that particular role within the elected bodies. And that one to me is the best candidate to be an appointed position because of the expertise, because it's a job more than.
And I don't,
Sure.
And the staff, I don't think is as maybe robust or deep or broad or something.
The authority isn't as broad. What concerns me with the Board of Health is breadth of their authority. Do you want that being under another board's control?
And think about those 5.5 things that they're responsible for.
can you, wait a minute, Bill, can you just talk for a minute about what point you're making here right now?
I mean, if you listen to what Dr. Weiner said, he talked about the breadth of the authority that the Board of Health can exercise. And it's pretty broad. It gets into things that, well, I wonder why, but they have the authority by law or whatever. And we would, by allowing the select board to appoint them, we would in essence be extending those authorities to the select board.
Which could become a concern, maybe, not in today, but maybe
Right.
in the future that we are not imagining now.
Right, so I mean, I could say that the ZBA and the Conservation Commission, they seem to work fine being appointed by the current select board, but it's not a given that that continues.
Not for, this is outside my expertise, but, principle of security is that we have to imagine what will happen if bad actor gets in and does something bad. It'll be a lot easier, it would be a lot easier, in my opinion, to unelect a bad Board of Health member after their term, because there'd be a pretty clear argument directly to the harm they've caused, rather than, oh, hey, this person got in 500 from the select board who brought the health, the bad health member along. I mean, definitely in the public consciousness too. I do think the Board of Health is defined enough to where, there's a good understanding, as opposed to like, hey, the select board appoints all these things, and to fix these things, we have to do this, this, and that. It's just people don't have the attention span.
Any other comments? Karthik, anything you want to add to that?
Not too much, but I just I heard what the doctor said, and I listened very carefully. I just didn't hear a really strong argument as to why it shouldn't be appointed. I know he felt very strongly about it, but I didn't really get a good reasoning for it. That's just my feeling on it. That's all.
So there's a motion before us to vote on keeping the Board of Health as elected.
Right. Is there any other conversation, any other comments anybody wants to make before we go on?
Can
I
we,
think maybe shouldn't be discussed until the second.
I think it was. Yeah. Could we ask Pat and Anthony if we're missing anything? I mean, is there something that we haven't already discussed? Yeah, we have that chart.
Yeah, and that it's in terms of our competitor, our benchmarks, 5 of the 10 have elected and 1 has an appointment. So benchmark would indicate.
Two.
Yeah, Walpole.
Oh, sorry, yes, Walpole and Reading, sorry. 1, 2.
Pat, I don't know what you'd say. I thought you guys had a robust discussion and you stayed on some of the things that we identified in that discussion document. So I other than the opinions of the people on the table, I wouldn't have much else to add.
The only thing I had, something that Karthik said at our last meeting that has just stuck with me, which was about, and I don't remember your words because they were far more eloquent than what I'm going to say, but I don't know what battles we want to fight. And, to me, that getting the, unless there's a compelling reason to change this, in my mind, I could argue really strongly for appointed, and I could feel it very strongly. But then I think about the momentum that might build negativity towards our ultimate goal. It concerns me. So that is, that's kind of discretion being the better part of valor, maybe for an argument, but that's the only thing that's on.
And I'd be fine with just making a note, even if we just want to keep it elected. But if we just keep a note that says like, hey, we looked at it, it seems like it's a really good fit, but for X, Y, and Z reason, we don't think that it's worth it to change. That I'd be fine with that. I just didn't hear a really clear justification for not changing it, but that doesn't mean that it justifies a change.
Okay, so should we go back and just vote and see where we are? And the motion is a yes would be keep it as it is. All right. Bill,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Nikki,
Yeah.
Jack,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Russ,
Yes.
Arthur,
Yes.
Eileen,
Yes.
Jess.
Yeah.
So that's 11. We'll keep it as. All right. Housing Authority.
Was that?
Hold on.
Do we need to talk about the Board of Health language or?
We didn't vote on the entirety of section 3.7. We just only voted on keeping it 11.
Sorry. I just want to see if you guys are paying attention. Hold on. Oh, well, I'm so proud of you. Thank you. All right.
Yeah, town meeting review.
Okay. Anthony, take it away.
Sure. So there's I'm going to spend a little time here. So there's a couple things just for the committee to know. So the bylaw article, I always get tough with my Roman numerals. I think it's Article 9 of your bylaws. It's one of the longer ones about an elected board, about your Board of Health, with the caveat that most of it is around really regulations around retail sales, and there's really just 2 paragraphs at the beginning that are relatively short around the term of office composition and the broad duties of the board. So we didn't use most of this. We didn't use most of this part of the bylaw. We took some pieces of it. And then the other thing is that in your bylaw, it talks about that the Board of Health will exercise applicable provisions of Chapter 41. Chapter 41 of the Mass General Laws is generally about town government, and it sort of lists all of the parts. So as you see when I read through this, I'm referencing Chapter 11 non-exclusively. Chapter 11 of the Massachusetts General Laws is about public health, where a lot of the responsibilities of a Board of Health have been enumerated more specifically. It's a big chapter, but it's a better one to reference. But again, this is just for the committee's consideration. So the proposed language, and I know we're probably going to chop up the composition in term, but I'm going to read through it anyway. Board of Health. Hello?
Chapter 11, but you have written.
Chapter 111.
111.
Got it. Just making sure it's written correctly.
Yeah, apologies. That's so. There shall be a Board of Health consisting of 5 members. The term of office of each Board of Health member shall be 3 years. The term shall be arranged so that at least one term shall expire each year. Powers and duties. The Board of Health shall be responsible for the formulation and enforcement of rules and regulations affecting the environment and the public health of the town. The Board of Health shall assume all responsibilities, enforce all regulations, and perform all duties stated in the Sanitary Code of the Massachusetts Department of Public Health. The Board of Health shall have all the powers and duties given to the Board of Health under the Constitution and the general laws, including but not limited to Mass General Law, Chapter 111, and such additional powers and duties as may be authorized by this charter, by bylaw, or by vote of the representative town meeting.
So I have a question. He was referencing some sort of law passed in 1987.
Triton.
No, Triton was the grant they had. It was another one, which was about developments.
He was setting a case.
It was like,
Oh, yeah, here's the thing.
okay, there was one on development.
He's on subdivision.
On subdivisions. And then he also talked about their role with land use, environmental, biotech, public health. Medical reserve is public health. Triton grant, that's not it. But it seemed like there were between the land use, environmental,
Subdivision.
biotech, and well, that would be environmental, right?
Subdivision is land use.
Or land use. Okay, so land use, yeah. So I'm just wondering if we shouldn't reference more specifically those areas, because it felt like, I mean, is that covered under 111?
Section 5 of 111 of MGL says the department shall take cognizance of the interests of life, health, comfort, and convenience among the citizens of the Commonwealth, shall conduct sanitary investigations and investigations as to the cause of disease, and especially of epidemics, and the sale of food and drugs and adulterations thereof, and shall disseminate such information relating thereto as it considers proper. It shall advise the government concerning the location and other sanitary condition of any public institution. It may produce and distribute immunological, diagnostic, and therapeutic agents as it may deem advisable, and may sell such portions of such materials produced in its laboratories as constitute an excess over those required for its use within the Commonwealth. And that's only section 5. There are many, many more sections, but that's a pretty good, like, it doesn't mention zoning, but maybe there might be another section here that does.
Zoning's not the issue, it's really more the, I mean, he kind of, even when I was talking to him on the phone preparing for this meeting, he kind of beat the drum on those areas of where they have their area of focus in this. If they're all covered under that section 111, that's great.
I mean, there's a lot. But, it ranges from very narrow to very non-narrow.
And just to be clear, the language in the proposed language says the general laws broadly, and then calls out Chapter 111 in a non-exclusive way.
Yeah.
What the gentleman who spoke earlier was absolutely right about is there's a broad area of things that boards of health have been given over the years. They're dispersed throughout the general laws. I would just say they're generally focused in this public health section of the code, which doesn't just cover boards of health, it covers other health organizations around the Commonwealth. And and I'm sorry, I forget your name, but you were reading from the general law. It's a long section. It covers a lot of different departments and a lot of different elements of public health.
Yeah, so I would prefer to not list it all out,
Yeah, no.
even though I know there's usefulness in sort of us using the charter as a way to help elevate for the people what's going on. This one feels like.
Yeah, this is.
The broad strokes are policy around public health.
Exactly.
Right? So,
Yes.
I have a problem with listing the environment.
conservation.
It's so broad.
Yes.
What is the environment? I mean, I think there's a lot of things around environment that don't affect public health, but we're saying the environment. They can get involved in anything.
How would you limit it? Because they really are involved in a lot of things.
Limited by what the MGL chapter, whatever it is.
And just say public health.
Yeah. If there's something in that law that gives them authorities over environmental issues, then maybe it's, we reference it, but just saying, having the word environment in there, bothers me.
So if you say environment as defined by MGL, blah, blah, blah.
I wouldn't even put it that way. I would just get rid of it because then we say below that, that they can deal with whatever's on the MGL, whatever. And if it, in that law, it says that they can deal with environmental issues, well, fine. But I don't want to give them a broad stroke of dealing with anything that has the word environment.
So if I could put words in your mouth, you would amend this to say, Board of Health shall be responsible for the formulation and enforcement of rules and regulations affecting the public health of the town.
Yeah. Yes, I would.
So that leads it to, the interpreter or whatever to deduce that the environment is or is not part of that and have that argument later.
Right, but that's, right.
It also
You have to make that argument, that it's a public health issue. We can't just say, well, it's an environmental issue.
If you're moving to make that change, say,
I'll move to make that change.
I will second.
Okay.
I need to know more about why it's in there, why we would take it out. Just because, like, when I do think about a lot of the things we see before planning board, there are elements of controlling waste, oil, data centers, things like drainage that we very much rely. We very much rely on the Board of Health
4.
So do you, I'm now responding to you. Do you think that those things affect the public health?
Yes,
Cool. Then you have answered the
but
question.
are there cases that indirectly? And then is there an argument, well, if it indirectly affects, like, for example, poison control of animals or rats?
As a matter of fact, there was a section, I'm not gonna read it, but I scanned and there was something about animals in there. And I'm like, hey, yo, so there's something, I'm sure.
If I may, this just may help the conversation. I can read what's currently existing from the bylaws. It's a small portion, so people can weigh whether or not they think changing these words may or may not be substantial, just a substantial change from what existing. So Article 9, duties. To promote the health and well-being of the inhabitants of the town, the board shall assume all responsibilities, enforce all regulations, and perform all duties in the sanitary code of the Massachusetts Department of Public Health and all applicable provisions of general laws, chapter 41. So I only bring it up to say the original language didn't have anything in environment in it.
Correct.
So then why was it added in there?
That was what I was piecing together from putting together the what was in the state law and looking at your comparator charters.
Okay.
It could be a more modern.
I mean, that's helpful information. I assumed it was already in there and that's why it's in there. So that's good to know it was not.
If it helps, I think by removing it, we're not saying one way or the other. We're simply saying this is about the public health.
Yeah.
Let's the body, the argument can be made in the moment about the topic by the people involved about let them squirrel it out over whether or not it's in the public health.
Okay.
And that's, we don't have to weigh in on that because it's just about the question of whether it's public health.
Okay. And then you're saying that MGL 111 is going to cover everything that's under whatever you have here, chapter 41.
Well, the language isn't exclusive to 111. It's saying all the general laws, and then it also references 111. 111 is a better reference than 41 because 41 is about town government generally. It's not about public health.
Okay, got it. Okay. All right. So I think where we are, so is that we changed the wording on composition to be like everything else. And on the powers and duties where we delete the word the environment. And that we leave it as drafted with those modifications. So if you agree, let's have a motion.
Have we already voted on the amendment?
No.
Suggested?
Well, I'm trying to throw it all into one vote rather than
So
doing.
I'll withdraw my motion. That's
Great.
See what you get there.
Parliamentary fixed.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I am a parliamentary neophyte, so I'm just trying to get to the cut to the chase. All right?
Yeah.
All right, so do we have a motion to vote on that?
As amended.
All right, so as an end.
Second.
All right, let's go. Now we're on 3-7. All right, Bill,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Betsy, Nikki,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Steve,
No.
okay? Russ,
Yes.
Karthik,
Yes.
Eileen,
Yes.
Jess?
Yeah.
10, 1, 2. Steve, can I ask why it's no?
I don't think we've really fleshed that out.
About the environment?
Yeah.
You're concerned about that?
Yes.
Okay.
Just so people know, there is not an environmental issue you can think of that doesn't have state department looking at it. And their primary directive is public health.
But if you look at public health issues, so many of them have started in this time. And if you stem them there, you can get them before they become a public health issue. A good keep up.
Well, you could have made a public health issue out of that anytime you want. So, public health, I mean, under public health, you can address it. You don't have to wait. It's a public health issue because that's what it's all about.
But no one knew about it for decades because the information was hidden and no one's looking at it.
Well, yeah, but no one found it from the environment. They found it looking at drinking water, which is a public health issue. So that's where it all came.
Okay, let's, interesting discussion. I think we're gonna move on.
I don't think we said they can't look at the environment, we're just not.
We're not calling it out. Okay, let's go to the Housing Authority. With the changes, obviously, on the composition and term as appropriate. I think this is a pretty straight one. Any comments, questions?
The terms of office of both appointed and elected. So maybe just strike elected and say, the term is 5 years. It's 5 years. And
The governor appointed us.
Jackson, governors, yes, I'm pretty sure. Yes, just, I don't know.
Poor Jack was in there for a really long time.
Must have been multiple years.
Yeah, no, I guess you're right.
Do you know?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm really not, because it often, in my experience, people leave before the 5 years up, so I don't have in my head that it seems to be more staggered with you, but,
What do we chase that, or I can chase it?
yeah, I can take a look. It may be that the appointed members, exist throughout their term, as long as maybe.
You need to speak up.
It may be that the person appointed by the governor exists through their term of employment as in that particular position. They're being appointed. But I'll take a look at it.
Anthony, is there a reason why it's worded this way? Is that because the appointed might be longer than 5 years?
I think that's how it is in the statute.
Okay, so if that's the way it's in the statute, maybe we keep it that way.
But I'll take a look.
I mean, sounds like we don't have anything to say about it.
I think that's correct.
And everything goes back to 121B.
Yeah. So,
Here's what I found. 5-year appointee, but there's a holdover status. When a 5-year term expires, a governor appointed member may legally remain on the board as a holdover until a successor is officially appointed and qualified. So that kind of explains why that person's.
so we can leave the language as it is, and it is.
And to say, I mean, I don't know if you need the last sentence in A, if we're saying, referencing 121B, one member may be appointed. Well, they are appointed, not maybe. I mean, again, I don't know that you need that because that's referenced in 121B. So
I think I would put it there just as a communication to the world that exists.
But we don't.
Well, and just this may be getting too much into the weeds, but if it's actually the Office of Health and Housing and Urban Development, or it may have changed names, but if that appointment doesn't happen within a certain time period, then the select board may actually do that appointment, and it has that right in the statute. So I didn't spell all that out, but that's one of the reasons why the word may was used.
okay, I mean, you could say one member is appointed in accordance with the applicable law, and the law is what, within 60 days or whatever. I mean, I guess I'm just hung up on may, that's all.
Should we just say it what it is? I mean,
I would add that language and I would add the tenant.
Well, I would suggest that, with the end of the sentence that says we have 5 members, elected or appointed, I'd say 3 of them are elected by the town, one's appointed by the governor, and one's appointed by the select board.
I can tell you probably the reason that happened is we leave it general because it was 20 months when they changed the laws. Every city had a problem with their charter being
So,
updated.
yes, so.
So
I'm sorry.
where the kind of where this is very general and refers to the law. If you spell out, for example, the holdover provisions, et cetera, every city and town had a problem with their charter when they changed who was on the committee
So
back in 2020.
That would be something subject to the whim of the legislature.
Right, and so then they were in non-compliance until they had a charter committee and until they worked through it. And this has taken you a year. It's not something that easily changed. And the legislature could say, oh, this tenant thing is working great. Let's have 2 tenants. And then it would frustrate, this part would be frustrated because really the town has less control over this. So that's why we refer to it generally. So for example, the terms of office of elected members are 5 years. That's solid, that's in there. What happens with holdovers for appointments or the whole tenant appointment process, there's actually additional regulation guidance on it. So it's not even just what's in, it's not even what's just in 121B. There's memos that out of how do you interpret 121B, and that's been changing. So that's why the language is general.
If you convince me, Pat. Yeah, I'll leave it to the profession.
We take out 5, because that number could change.
It could, but that number hasn't changed in a while, but some other stuff has. But this, I mean, it gives it clarity, and if it changes to the extent that there's more or less than 5, that's fine. You know, we'll can deal with that.
Do we deal with the tenant language?
How the tenant is selected?
I did there's a tenant rep who is
Right.
appointed, sorry.
They say there's
But that's
one
the
member
new
may be appointed by the governor. Is that the tenant rep?
No.
That's another one, right? So do we have to mention that there's actually an additional member?
So
Well,
either,
that's what she's saying we keep out.
Yeah, elected or
That may
appointed
change.
captures that. And I think it saves us from having to, like, let's say the tenant rep, the state said, we don't actually want the tenant rep.
Well, they move, would die.
Well, no, I mean at the state, I mean at the state level, if the state said, we don't want a tenant rep anymore, it's not working out, you know, whatever. We'll just have 4 elected committee members instead, then that, if we put that in the charter that there's supposed to be a tenant rep, then we're out of compliance, just like Pat was
So
describing.
leave it the way Pat has it.
Yeah,
Okay. I'm turning all the.
Tiffany, you have to draft it.
Okay, Anthony.
Yeah.
Okay, any other discussion on this?
so, and B, there, or by vote of the representative town meeting, such additional powers and duties authorized, or by vote of the representative town meeting. So, sorry, what does town meeting have to do? Oh, just to be, okay.
Well, town meeting grant you additional property that you may use to build.
Right. For example, yeah.
theoretically.
Wow. See.
So,
Yeah, the general rule is you can't give them less power than they're allowed under state statute, but you may give them, and again, I can't really imagine what, you may by town meeting vote give them some additional powers within the town that they might not otherwise have under state laws.
yes.
Now, again, you can remove that. That's like catch-all language that we generally use for just to give flexibility.
So if we needed funds for an appraisal of a property or something, or legal, blah, blah, blah. So we could go to the Housing Partnership Committee here in town. And the Housing Partnership would have to go to town meeting and ask for those funds. So I guess, town meeting, okay, all right, okay.
Or town meeting might want to appoint one of your members to an ad hoc committee. Give you the authority to
Yes.
be on that.
And then lastly, and I'm sort of embarrassed to say this, so affordable housing for residents, I don't think that's true. There's preference for, we have some homes, 2 or 3, South Bedford and some other places where there's a preference for residents. But in terms of the bulk of the housing, you're in this list, You qualify regardless of where you live. But again, I don't think there's a preference. I can check on it.
I think
Do they just mean residents of the town, as in people who are currently
Residents of the
residing
unit.
in those units
housing.
are residents of the town?
For residents of the town. Well,
You're not making rules for people outside. You're not making, you know,
but it's not just for residents of the town. That's,
Well, they're residents as soon as they move in.
yeah, okay, so that's the reference. Okay.
That's my interpretation.
Yeah.
Instead of residents of the housing, it's residents of, but, okay, the town.
Would it make sense to add residents of the town's housing authority or?
Or just say for its residents.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you said and affordable housing for its residents.
Mhm.
well, you're not just doing that, you're providing affordable housing for, you know,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
residents of the town, because you're making sure you have housing available, not just for the people who already lived in there. So
Well, it affects the town of the 40.
Yeah.
20 numbers.
So is that wording correct or not?
what do you think, Anthony?
Actually, I'll have to let me look at that. I can't read through the whole statute right now, but we can modify. We can look at that residence piece and come back. That's I hadn't thought about that, so I'd have to look at the statute again and come back.
Okay, so let's,
I wasn't reading it that way, but, you know, you're reading it.
okay, so let's come back to that one on that paragraph. So we'll have to return to that one. Library trustees,
Library trustees. Let me scroll to the right place.
I don't think we
So,
need to
like,
opposition anymore. I think we know that we want to change all of them. So let's just know that's going to happen on all of them and just go right to powers and duties.
okay. Just before I get there, just if you're looking in the bylaws, this is one where it's really just one line saying that the number of the trustees and their term. So there really isn't much there in terms of the Board of Library Trustees in the bylaws. So I pulled much of this language from your comparator communities. The Board of Library Trustees shall have general charge of the care and management of the town libraries and all of the property of the town relating thereto. The Board of Library Trustees shall have all the powers and duties given to library trustees under the Constitution and the general laws, including but not limited to Mass General Law, Chapter 78, and such additional powers and duties as may be authorized by the charter, by bylaw, and by vote of the representative town meeting. One interesting thing about libraries that's different from other boards is libraries are mentioned in the state's constitution. So that's why you'll see constitution here, and you might not see it in other boards.
Okay, any comment?
Yeah, we talked about and all property of the town relating there too. I don't think they do anything with the property. I think that
Town facilities.
it comes under the town facilities folks and other than what's inside the four walls. At least in Burlington.
I believe you were correct.
But does property mean the property that is contained inside those libraries? The books and the furniture and its toys.
Yeah. I'd leave it like that and then it's an internal issue of the town to decide who's gonna cut the grass.
So are you saying to leave the wording or take it out, Bob? Bill?
I'll leave it.
Huh?
I'll leave it.
Leave it as it is, as written? Okay. Okay. Any other comments on this one? Okay, should we make a motion?
Second.
Okay, so we're moving to standard modification, we approve it. Okay, so this is 3.8. All right, Bill,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
yes, Vicky,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Russ,
Yes.
Arthur,
Yes.
Eileen?
Yes.
So that's 10-0. Okay, Recreation Commission was a no-show.
We'll check on what happened.
Okay, Do we want to talk about it or wait till they come in?
Wait until they come in.
Yeah, this is one that I really want to discuss.
Yeah, just to be consistent with what we've done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, constables.
Are we skipping recreation? We're going to constables?
Yes, because they did not come for our meeting tonight, so, I don't know. On the constables.
I mean, this is one that I almost would move to point.
Yes, I was about, yes, I would entertain a motion to make this an appointed position.
I will move that, and somebody, if they second, then we can have a conversation.
I'll second.
This is, you take a look at how it sits with our benchmark communities. We have 2 and 2, so it's a toss up.
3 and 2.
No, Burlington's elected.
Oh, I think,
Yeah, so it's 2 and 2.
Do we have background on why this is an elected role in the first place?
Probably goes back a long ways.
1799?
Yeah, so any discussion about why this, any feelings about why it needs to be appointed versus elected or versus?
Election is it broken?
Is it
Why
broken?
do we need to change it?
I know historically, I've checked the elections for constable, and it seems like the same 3 or 4 people have been fighting over 2 spots past decade. There's like no talent.
Well, we have, if you look at the comparative election thing, that's actually one of the more, it's 1.25 versus 1 for the treasurer and 1 for the assessor. And so it was somewhat.
But yes, the words. Yes.
what's the pay? Well, do they get fees? Something.
No, they get.
No, they got the certain papers. So I needed to show. I had to pay.
So that's a reason to run.
They don't really,
No,
well, actually they do. They approve the warrant to it.
So they're not on the town payroll.
Not paid by the town.
Are they officers of the law?
They're serving papers. Just like a lawyer.
Officers of the court?
Like,
Yeah, the only, I think, yeah.
They need to get someone from the sheriff's department or custom.
Okay. Anthony, what were you gonna say?
No, I think somebody already touched on. I was going to say the most well-documented duty that constables still have today that I'm aware of is around the service of papers, warrants. You know, if somebody goes to court and they want to serve a complaint on someone, you would go to the constable in that town, or as someone mentioned, the sheriff's office are also have those responsibilities under state law. But you guys already touched on that.
So I don't know, it feels bizarre. We don't have a court in Burlington. So it feels strange.
Yeah, but
People live here.
That's witness, and I want to subpoena them
Yeah,
to Cambridge.
Yeah.
But they live in Berlin.
yeah. Why is that not the Middlesex counties?
We don't have a county.
because it's local constable. I work to serve papers for somebody who got. We had to hire the constable.
Clearly, this whole thing is a mystery to me. It's a black
So they only make money when they serve papers.
box.
It's like a little bit of an incentive to serve papers.
Well, they can't.
They can't.
They can't, okay.
They can't.
but they could run for office.
If we go down the criteria, it's kind of a mix and match too. It's not like it's very clear
Yeah,
one way.
It's not. It's not.
And my intent would be, given there's not a clear reason to change or a clear alignment, I'm content in the sake of letting things exist the way they are, they seem to function. If there's more problems, we can identify them and revisit this and move on.
Discussion.
Yes, this is the discretion, the better part of our argument.
Yeah.
Something that we wish to done.
That's right.
I
Okay,
didn't even hear there's a hill.
okay.
I'd like to see if we can get them again, maybe.
Well, we are trying. I'm not sure we're going to learn a whole lot more than what I mean, Jack, being a lawyer, has used them. I've used them. We know they're not employees. Is there anything in our discussion that we did not highlight that would be germane to whether we change this or not? Anthony or Pat?
I think you've had a robust discussion. The only thought I had is this something the select board is interested in getting involved in and starting and appointing them?
That's not a consideration, actually. For our discussion.
They would appoint the two guys who would run.
Well, I just said, I don't know. It's, if, there's two, it's just a thought process. You said the same, 3 people run
There are about
positions.
3 or 4.
But when we say it's no longer involved.
I think you've had a robust discussion and you've looked at kind of the litany of, your pros and cons on it, and it could go either way, and it's entirely up to you.
Okay, so I'll take a motion.
To be clear, is it the same kind of changes, or I'm trying to keep notes here, as we were going to make to the other sections?
Well, we haven't voted on whether or not to keep it appointed, to keep it elected yet, so we got to do that first, and the motion's already on the table. We just need.
Oh, sorry, then can you restate the motion?
Well, how about this? Can I restate the motion? This is
Or
probably,
shall I just?
Yeah,
well, I'm
oh, you,
we just throw it into,
I will withdraw my motion and we'll do what we did last time.
okay. So the question is, do we, with the, making sure the composition and term language is consistent?
We can't do that because you don't have someone each year.
Yeah.
It's a 3-year term.
Right.
And they are up at the same time, right?
But this is saying only one at a time. So now we're going on a staggered term. So this is making that 1 month. The way this is.
And no more than one term shall expire in any given year. Okay, so that leaves open the space for the 1 year where there will be.
They'll have to flip a coin to see which one goes for 2 years instead of 3.
But then there will be a year where there is no election for that.
What is the current, I don't remember looking back at it. So every 3 years, both are appointed at
Yes.
the same time?
Elected.
Elected at the same time. So should we transfer that language into this to keep the status quo? Is there any reason to be staggered over the 3 years?
Because I wouldn't like both to put it the same.
Yeah, I think we should, the fact that we've been lucky that they both have done it, I think we should.
So then the language, no more than one term shall expire in a given year seems sufficient, and I don't think we want to say so that at least one term shall expire.
right.
So leave the current language.
Yeah, I think so.
I was going to say that I believe staggering the terms would make sense from a competitive perspective as well, because with 2 people running for 2 spots, it's very likely that both of them will win again, as opposed to like a, contest over the course of, you know what I mean? 1 seat is more likely to be toppled than 2, in my experience.
Well, but all you need to do is talk with 1 out of the 2. And we're talking maybe 3 people running for 2.
True, which we did have one year.
Yeah, the default is just vote for the incumbents.
Okay, so we're
I
gonna
don't see
leave
a
the
reason
language.
to quit it. Just change it.
You say you don't see a reason to change it? What about Jack's point?
I mean, they're not part of town government. Well, I care what they do. To be honest, okay, if they both quit in the same year, well, they can quit in the same year, whether their terms are staggered or not.
Is the town required to have 2 constables? I guess they are.
I
not,
don't know if the state requires it.
I'm not aware of a requirement. Yeah.
it's not required.
Okay.
You can always go to the sheriff's department, give it.
Right, they certainly,
They do sign off on the warrant.
that's true.
If you look at the
Well,
last page of the
Both of
town
them?
meeting warrant.
It doesn't give the name of who does it, it's just a.
So,
So we're,
yeah, which we're doing here.
so I want to propose that we keep the language that we have written in here, both in terms of the composition and powers and duties, and see if that applies. If that doesn't apply, then we'll go back.
So the only change to the status quo would be staggering terms.
Right.
If the change of the staggered terms was affected, how does that affect the currently elected and serving people?
They both elected the same year every 3 years, and I'm not sure if that's true.
Yeah, it is.
They're both on the.
They both show up in
I'm going to pretend for the moment that it's true. Given that circumstance, how fix?
So we would write into the transition section of the charter a provision that would say, you know, in the first year following the passing of this, to our, you know,
You don't have to spell it out on Google, got it. The answer is it goes in the
This is what-
transition section.
it's a, yeah.
Why do we need it in the charter? Can we just leave it in the bylaws?
Now we're putting it in the, let's just keep consistent with what we're doing.
There's going to be a staggered term. We have to, this is the one out of all of them, if you're making a change from staggered, I mean, from not staggered to staggered. The others didn't really have those kinds of changes, that you want to specify in the transition section. That's kind of the instruction manual of how you implement this charter. You would say, and then you just write something in about someone where it votes, get the, you know, 2-year term, and what the other one gets, 3-year term, the other one gets a 2-year term for the first election.
So with the assumptions to be in the transition section as written. Let me just, if you have a straw point, just raise your hand if you are in favor of approving it before we go through the form. Okay, and those who would not like to approve it with the language.
Yeah.
So we have to, I think we should come to a decision one way or another, we either go with the staggered or we go with the current.
Just take a vote.
All right.
So, I think you need to vote against it.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
It'll
so,
have to be unanimous.
okay, well, okay, we're gonna, as written, we're gonna vote on as written on both of these, okay. That's a motion, do I need a second? Okay, Bill,
No,
Matt,
Yes.
Cory,
Yes.
Nikki.
Yeah.
Jack,
Yes.
Steve,
No.
Russ,
Yes.
Karthik,
Yes.
Eileen,
Yes.
let's see, yes.
Jess, yes.
Oh, hi, Jess, thank you. Alex. 9-2,
Read that again, please. 9-2.
yeah.
Thank you. That's gonna mess those two guys up. They keep showing up every 3 years before the January town meeting to get signatures.
They're gonna have to pay attention now, that's all there is to it. Okay, town clerk,
So the question I had, that towns required, Massachusetts towns are not strictly required. While state law allows towns to elect or appoint them, municipalities have the discretion to determine the necessity.
well, there we are,
And describe what they do.
town clerk. We had Jennifer come in, talk about what she does. It's currently elected. I think we need to have a discussion about whether we want to change that from elected to appointed. I'm seeing a lot of,
The people have spoken, like,
Yeah.
it's just elected
Because we had a vote
On whether or not to change it.
Not just on her. We had a vote on whether.
Oh, yes, just not on her. Yeah. Well, yeah.
when the vote was to only, at least it was, not
okay, so we're going to honor,
voted to keep it elected.
I think the vote.
That was a job. Needed skills, needed a resume.
I'm not arguing with you on that. I agree with you.
It feels subversive to the vote, to the electoral.
No, I get it.
To change it after the electorate just said.
So what vote did you want to, or what vote do you want to go?
Again, we're doing that discussion thing.
Yeah.
I mean, if there was any one that I would fight for, it would be this one. And also, if I were a voter who voted in, with clear eyes against it, and then a committee came in and changed it, I would be not happy.
Even if the committee had very good reasons. And I just wanted, because I know Jennifer, I see her all the time. I mean,
The reasons were articulated though during the campaign. So I don't think that there is anybody who was informed and voted on that. Now, there are plenty of people who probably were not informed and voted. But I would say if I was informed and I voted no, and the reasons were very clearly articulated, the pros and the cons, and a committee came in and changed it under me. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to make Anthony, you want to kind of run through the section here? We don't have to worry about the term of office because there's one person. It's 5 years.
Okay. I'm gonna.
Standard?
I don't know if it's standard, but I think like there's a big learning curve and it's a big office to run, so I think 5 years is reasonable.
Oh, yeah, it couldn't be any less than
Well, that's what's currently in your bylaws.
correct. And there are, if you look at it, there are 3 towns that have 3-year terms for this. Yeah. Okay. So the duties, let's review the duties.
Before I get to that, I just want to make a couple of just quick points. So the town clerk is sprinkled throughout your bylaws. The only sort of one cohesive spot is in Article 3, where it just talks about really the term of office in the elected officers section there. But there are various responsibilities sprinkled throughout. So the duties here are pulled from your comparator communities and are meant to be broad to just encompass the wide variety of things that are assigned to the town clerk, both through state law as well as through your local bylaws. So I will read this quickly. On the duties part, the town clerk shall be the keeper of the vital statistics of the town and the custodian of the town seal and all public records. The town clerk shall administer the oaths of office to all town officers who apply to the clerk therefore, shall serve as the clerk of the town meeting, which is specifically called out in your bylaws, shall perform such duties with regard to elections and other matters as may be provided by law. The town clerk shall have all of the other powers and duties given to town clerks under the Constitution and the general laws, and such additional powers and duties as may be authorized by this charter, by bylaw, or by vote of the representative town meeting. So that's, again, that's very broad, but that is meant to encompass all the things that your clerk currently does.
You have a term clerk therefore without an E. I don't understand. Is that a legal thing?
For this thing, yeah.
Can we just say that in English?
I think that is correct, as it is.
I think it's the
Shall,
most.
right, serve as clerk of the town meeting. Is that what you're?
No, shall administer the oaths of office to all officials who apply for. I'm just saying, that's really legalese, and I don't think we need it to be legal.
This would refer back to who applied. It's like, well, what are they applying for?
There's a couple other examples. But farther up, I advocate for just keeping it. I understand it looks funny without the E at the end, but
I just feel like if you have to, if it's legalese that I'm trying to stay away from that stuff, like, is there a way you can say it that doesn't?
We can go back and make it more modern vernacular. We can put together some options.
I think it's in there because it's not necessarily instilling a duty to be sworn in. It's just saying when someone needs to be sworn in, you go there. That's who's going to do it.
Correct.
So I think that's why you don't want to just take out will apply to the clerk, therefore, we need other language.
Right. If we just use language that the average person would be able to follow, I think that's part of our readability. Trying to do, but the intent, I think, is fine.
Perfectly good to me.
The town clerk will live for all town officers. Period.
Yeah, right.
At least you didn't say here and thereafter.
The town clerk shall administer the oath of office to all town officers.
Except, isn't Pat's point, who apply to the town clerk to do that thing?
Well, but
Otherwise, it sounds like it's an obligation on behalf of them.
it is. All of us have to be sworn in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But isn't.
But it's not the,
You,
Yeah.
not an obligation on the town clerk.
Well, you should put it someplace else then.
Different argument for a different time?
Well, we're talking about the town clerk shall administer the oaths of office. I mean, when somebody goes in, gets elected, and they need to swear in, she go to. That's what we're saying, right?
So your problem is the wording, therefore, and it's weird. And Pat's point, if I understand it, is it's a little bit of legal limbo to make it clear that it's for people who go to the town clerk.
What if we just say the town clerk shall administer oaths of office, comma, shall serve as clerk of town meeting?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as that covers us legally, I'm sure that council will go back over it.
And as long as it gets rid of the word therefore.
Because it doesn't say who they administer it to, so we don't have to go through and make sure that we're confining it only to those town officers that require. Someone might be an officer sworn in under certain circumstances.
So if we keep it, yes, and that says what it is that the town clerk does, and I am happy.
So can you state it again? I'll write it for
Does
you.
that make sense, Anthony?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Town clerk shall administer oaths of office, comma, shall serve as clerk of town meeting. That's two.
I'm reading from a PDF, so I can't modify it.
Right, I'm taking care of that, but does that make sense to take out the rest of that? The town clerk shall.
I think that makes sense. Yes.
All right, anything else in the language? And if not, I'll take a motion to approve this as amended.
Removed.
Second?
Second.
Okay, Bill,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Nikki,
Yes.
Jack,
No,
Steve,
Yes.
Russ,
Yes.
Arthur,
Yes.
Eileen,
Yes.
Jess.
Yes.
Okay. So that is 10. All right. So we got through the elected boards,
Except
Except
for
for recreation.
except for recreation.
we really need him to do it.
Well, that's the question I have for you all. Do you want them to come in? It's the recreation board. Do you feel like you understand what the board of recreation does? Enough to make that determination here about whether it should be elected or appointed?
Three of them are elected and two of them appointed now.
That's true. Say it again, Jack. Sorry.
Three of them are elected and two of them are appointed. One's an appointed to the planning board, one's an appointed to the committee.
For me, it depends if we want to be consistent with how we've done it for everyone else.
And my argument would be the same as Board of Health. And have a professional department under them. They're just the vision setters. Answering to the community about the vision that the community wants to set.
I guess,
I think about, again, going back to the silos, and this is how you want to run a company.
No. Yeah, and I'm definitely thinking about the way things have been. Right, so.
yeah, I think that this one to me is one that I'd be very interested, I think, in hearing about what the board does and what it takes to be on it. And I don't know.
Why was it Norty that was going to come?
He's the vice chair.
The vice chair. So with Lindsay the chair, is she unavailable to come?
She was in the room.
Maybe, I don't know. She's been on for 4 years now.
So it's all Lindsay.
Oh, Kevin Sullivan, he was on there for 100 years.
Well, let's ask Lindsay if she could come to our next meeting. We'll start off with that on the meeting. So that we can kind of get through that decision, and then we are done with this section. But I think, Pat, you have enough to get our charter now updated so that we have the next iteration of the charter ready, right? I know this has been a slug tonight. I really appreciate everybody kind of hanging in there. I know we went late, but it's really important given where we need to be. And the next section, Pat, is going to be the maybe put you in this one, it's not fun.
I'm sorry, I didn't have it up.
Okay.
So,
Budget and capital improvement?
yes, budget.
So we will start that section and we'll have the discussion guide for that section, and we'll start with recreation first, then go right into the budget thing. And then, kind of go from there. Just one more advertisement for, this communications group that we have going on Mondays at noon. And I think we're making good progress, but we're about to start with what the presentations are going to look like. And so anybody who's interested in participating in as a backup person or to be a partner on some of the presentations, we're going to have, we're going to try to schedule meetings with different boards and committees to go in and just do individual briefings for their boards if they're interested. Not every board is going to be interested, but we're going to ask people if they are interested. So if anybody's interested in participating in that, please let me know, along with your schedule for the month of June. And
June 17th at 7, you're all busy. June 17th is the public. input.
Yeah, and that one, I think the whole committee should try to be there. If you can, if you are on vacation or you can't, I totally get it. But if we can have a good representation of this committee, I think that would be. So the other thing I ask of you is I'm trying to think of provocative questions to ask on this input session. And so, for example, I came up with a couple of them about Burlington, in the interest of efficiency, Burlington should have a mayor and a town council. And then react. That's the
Duck.
that's the prohibition. I'm just saying. I just kind of throw kind of that out there. And then another was Burlington should remain with a elected select board and representative town. That's another react. So if there are any, I don't want you, if there are any areas that we have covered as we've gone through this so far, where you think that we need to highlight it. I kind of had another one about all non-union employees of the town should report to the town minister. It's another one. Yeah. Hiring and firing with the approval of the appropriate board. So that wording, whatever. But if you can think of any provocative statements that would be good to kind of throw out there and have people react to relative to things that we've done in terms of creating this charter, just send me an email with just.
Again, a bit of a provocative statement. Why can't you just ask the question?
It's an engagement strategy.
Exactly. It's getting people, because there are some people who will not speak unless you kind of give them something to react to. So not everything's gonna be there, but you need to have a few zingers, I think, in there to kind of get people juices flowing.
So we have constables asking.
A what?
We should do away with constables.
Would we save money? No,
We
okay. There's no effect, that's true.
Well, just thinking that, that's all.
Let's think of it. Okay, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So
Right, okay, and at what time is it? It's 9:14. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, someone did, we keep on that. Only down the.
Yes. And Meg's gonna have to do these minutes from the BCAT. I'm from school.
I'm still trying to head around. So we kind of like how the sign feels like it's doing some.
I'm gonna go over to my cousin's house and have dinner this week. Or
The notion
Okay.
of,
cousin Amy
what are the
wants me to get
pieces
something.
that have to be written
No.
up and
Now you're.
transition. Maybe not as much as I think.
What happened at dinner?
Maybe not as much as I actually.
I'm gonna go, I said, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
And then have dinner. Okay, what are you gonna do? I don't know.
get out of here, Jack.
You're not vegetarian, and you are. What are you eating? I'm sure they'll have some people vegetarian. Oh, we didn't end up eating.
Would you?
Not
Probably throw out a horseplay or anything.
What's that? And we're meat eaters.
Maybe next Tuesday, Tuesday at 11.
Yeah.
A while, but
Well, we made it through that.
Great,
bye.
very nice to. It's a great discovery.
Okay, thanks, Pat. Appreciate it.
You need anything moved around and work.
No, I'm not, I'm gonna leave everything and they can, if they want to yell at me. So be it.
Nice. I have to hang up.
Huh?
The video, the movie, the show.
I think I will take that off.